Holmes County settlers came mostly from Central and Northern Europe. Among those coming from Switzerland were cheesemakers who established their profession in the county's early days. Today, their descendants produce large quantities of cheese products that are well known throughout Ohio and the world. The county's first European settlers arrived in 1809 and 1810. Around the same time, a group of Amish Mennonites from eastern Pennsylvania crossed the Allegheny Mountains and settled in Ohio near the village of Sugar Creek. An Amish man named Jonas Stutzman established a settlement on land near what is now Walnut Creek and would later become the largest Amish community in the world. Cheesemaking is an old world art form, practiced in Amish country and kept alive by generations of family practitioners. Their ancestors brought the tasteful tradition with them from the snow-covered mountains of Switzerland to the misty valleys of Ohio. Each family group carried with it a unique way of working through a similar process, making a product that bears its own special brand of taste and originality. One family who brought their craft to Holmes County are the Dowwalders. Bunker Hill cheese, recognized by the Heine's brand produced at Heine's Cheese Chalet and Amish Country Mall, set up their operation in Amish country. John Dowwalder and his brother Christ made their way to America from Switzerland. Like other Swiss farmers who made cheese on their farms, the brothers were sought after in the American cheese-making market. The Dowwalder brothers made their way to Holmes County, near the village of Berlin. The entire complex began with nothing more than large copper kettles, which could produce up to a 200-pound block of cheese a day, and old-world family ingenuity, perseverance, and tradition. During World War II, John returned to his native country to serve in the military and to provide shelter to refugees on his farm until the war was over.
He had to serve, so he took on a non-combat, and he was in the what they call the Luftschutz, that means the air guards.
In 1948, John sold his farm in Switzerland and, along with his wife Lily, returned to the U.S. and purchased the cheese-making business Christ had founded in 1935. John's son, Peter Dowwalder, and his wife Nancy bought the company in 1962.
I was up in Wisconsin, there, and here and there and everywhere, and I run into a lot of different situations, and it was where then I sort of got, being that I had relatives up there, they had, relatives also that were in the cheese business, and I got to know them and what they were doing or what they were attempting to do. So I learned a fair amount of stuff.
The Dowwalders are now in their third generation of family-owned cheese production. They utilize their particular family recipe, guaranteeing an individual taste. Other factors affect the unique taste as well. Even if every producer used the same recipe, the resulting cheese would still taste different due to the environment in which the cultures are grown and the variation in moisture content. When the Bunker Hill Company incorporated, it had thousands of labels made with the Heidi's trademark. They were not familiar with copyright laws and felt formally threatened when a restaurant named Heidi's said that they would sue the Dowwalders for using the same name. Grandmother Lily's ingenuity came to the forefront to avoid the financial disaster of replacing all the labels. Lily suggested changing, with a magic marker, the D in Heidi's to an N in Heine's, Heine's being the Swiss nickname for the name Heinrich. The cheese-making process at Bunker Hill Cheese begins early in the morning with the delivery of milk from hundreds of Amish family farms across Ohio.
Because of economics, it's getting harder for a small farm to exist, to make a living. What we're trying to accomplish is developing a specialty market using the small farmer's milk, where we can sell a specialty product and also carry the economic effect of that over to the farmer and pay them more for their milk to keep the small family farm going.
Milk is poured from the cans and stored in a huge 40,000-gallon milk cooler. A small sample of milk is analyzed to check the fat content and check the level of milk solids. These levels are checked so the cheese comes out the same each time it is made. The milk is pasteurized, and the fat content is adjusted to assure the consistency and wholesomeness of this glorious byproduct of milk. Milk is transferred into the large stainless steel vats for the beginning of the transformation process, which turns milk into cheese. A starter culture, not unlike yeast that has been used for bread, is added to the milk. This starter culture is what gives each variety of cheese its unique flavor, body, and texture. If a yellow cheese is being made, a natural food coloring called annatto is added during the fourth step. It is annatto which gives the golden yellow shades of color to cheddar and Colby cheeses. Coagulant, which is an ingredient that makes milk form into curds, is added to the vat and evenly distributed by automated paddles. The milk is also heated and stirred. The temperature is carefully controlled to keep the enzymes from the starter culture active. The milk turns into a custard-like gel as it thickens. It is in this step where the milk starts to turn more into cheese. The temperature in the vat varies as to the type of cheese being made. Cutting the gel with the traditional cheese harp is done by hand. The master cheesemaker chooses just the right moment to cut the gel so curds start forming in the vat. The cheese harp is passed through the gel to cut it into little blocks or cubes. These cubes will form into the curd. The milk is cooled for a length of time depending on the type of cheese being made. Again, the temperature is carefully controlled to assure uniformity for each variety of cheese.
Temperature is very important in the cooking process because of the nature of different cultures. If the temperature would raise too high, it would kill the culture and you would have a vat of curds and whey. It would never turn into cheese.
The milk is separated into two components, curds and whey. The whey is drained from the vat and transferred to a holding tank where this byproduct of cheese making is processed into other products. The next step in cheese making is curd transformation. Here, the curds are cut and stacked or pulled, and the whey is for the drain from the curd. Salt is added in this step to enhance flavor, texture, and to extend the shelf life of the cheese. The final drops of whey are pressed out of the curd for a minimum of 12 hours.
We're very particular about our pressing methods. We have the cheese in the press for a minimum of 12 hours, which assures us that we have the proper whey expulsion and dispersion we need, which also helps with our consistency, our flavor, makes it a specialty item and not a commodity item.
The long round shapes of cheese are called horns. They are then cut into the familiar wheels. Blocks and bricks are also formed. The final step of cheese making is curing. The wheels and bricks are immersed in a brine bath, smoked, or stored in wooden boxes for a length of time. With Swiss cheese, it may be aged from 3 to 9 months, depending on the mildness or sharpness desired. In carefully controlled temperature and humidity conditions, the different cheeses take on their characteristic flavors, textures, and aromas that make the difference between Swiss, cheddar, or yogurt cheese. The longer a cheese is aged determines the sharpness of the cheese. Baby Swiss and farmer's cheese is aged for a very short time, which gives it the smooth, buttery texture and mild flavor. These types of cheese will melt easier. On the other hand, sharp cheddar is aged for a much longer period of time, which gives it the distinct, grainy texture and bold, aromatic flavor. The traditional eyes, or holes, one finds in Swiss cheese are the result of the type of starter culture that was added to the milk early in the cheese-making process. The texture of Colby and yogurt cheese is the result of washing and cooling the curd with water after the whey is drained. This is what gives these types of cheese their open texture.
The water helps smooth the curd, washes whey residue off the individual particles of cheese or curd to help with a nice smooth flavor, and also helps the cheesemaker control the activity of the cheese-making process, which also helps with having a consistent, smooth flavored product.
Heine's cheese caters to specialty food distributors and consumers with a European-style flavor and quality. Heine's specialty is yogurt cheese, a pleasant, mild-flavored product whose popularity has grown substantially over the last 2 decades. 3 yogurt cheese cultures are presently in the cheese-making environment, with Acidophilus having a natural affinity for sweetness.
Bunker Hill products include a variety of other cheeses, including Swiss, Colby, Cheddar, and Farmers, all of which contain no artificial coloring or additives. In addition, and just as importantly, Heine's guarantees that the milk it uses is 100% Amish milk from local Amish farmers, many of whom have extremely small herds that are afforded lush pasture land for grazing. Those farmers sign contracts pledging they use no artificial bovine growth hormones. Going one step further, Heine's now offers Greenfield organic cheeses in several varieties. These cheeses represent the latest farming practices in ensuring a completely natural product. The purity of the milk going into these cheeses produces a completely unique and fresh taste not found in any other cheese.
Milk coming off the Amish farms just helps give us that smooth, creamy, specialty cheese flavor that we're looking for.
Bunker Hill Cheese Company and Heine's continues to flourish in the heart of Amish country. The Amish Country Mall features the cheese showroom, where samples of each and every cheese produced is available for tasting. The showroom also has many food items produced in the region. The Fudge Factory features homemade treats for the trip home. The gift shop and lace store are also favorites among visitors. Both stock Amish country and traditional gifts that are unique and collectible. Bunker Hill Cheese has retained the original quality of their workmanship and individual input and care, even though the business has evolved from cottage industries to modern facilities. The cheese they make maintains the same old-fashioned flavor as the misty morning in the time-standing still countryside of Holmes County.